We're heading out to Fort Belmont in Jackson, Minnesota on the first day of our Glacier National Park adventure. Here we go, and we'll see you there. So when you live in Wisconsin, particularly the southeast corner of the state, and you're trying to get to the northwest of Montana, bottom line, it's going to take a long time. Just getting to the Minnesota border about halfway up Wisconsin is pretty routine since I've done this like a zillion times before. Wisconsin can be pretty, especially with its lakes and in the fall, the colors, but it is an epic, and we want to see epic. There it is, our first big milestone, the mighty Mississippi, the boundary between Wisconsin and Minnesota at this point. Anyway, to break up the tedious drive through mostly farmland, Pam, who on this trip became an expert driver of the truck with the RV, suggested we visit a place called Niagra Cave in Harmony, Minnesota, a place she had visited with her daughter some decades ago. You know, it's really not that far out of the way, and hey, we're exploring and on vacation, so let's check it out. Can't say I was really expecting gravel roads in Minnesota, but that's the way it is, I guess. But it's smooth, so really what's the harm?
The destination is on your right, Niagra Cave. Arrived.
Well, I have to say, this place is well manicured. It's got a 9-hole mini golf course as well. Looks really pretty. Let's enter the obligatory gift shop, and for 25 bucks, we're going to wait our turn in a room with some info on the cave itself. A nice young tour guide explained facts about the cave, like it was discovered when a farmer's 3 pigs disappeared and were found at the bottom of a hole, which turned out to be the cave. Apparently the pigs were unharmed, only to be harmed later when they were eaten. It's called Niagra Cave because Niagara Falls was a popular tourist spot about 100 years ago, and since there is a waterfall in the cave, the farmer thought it would help to attract tourists. After the intro, you descend about 225 steps, and of course, even lighted caves are a bit dark, so getting good film is a tad difficult. But you get to see the waterfall, various other rock formations, and the wedding chapel. Yep, they hold weddings down here. Pam really seemed to like that. There's a room called the Grand Canyon, and at certain spots you can see fossils of long extinct creatures. This is a slow-forming cave, so this stalactite is very old. You need to be careful not to touch any of them. Hikers would call this an out-and-back trail, so you got to go up the same way you came down. There's no elevator like at Carlsbad Caverns. So just got done with the Niagra Cave. It's actually pretty cool. But about 550 steps, 275 down, 275 up. It wasn't really bad at all, and kind of cool. Well, back on the road again. We've got another 2.5 hours to drive to Jackson, Minnesota, and our final destination, which is a place called Fort Belmont. It's actually a harvest host, so it doesn't cost us anything other than the donation we want to make towards that good cause.
Here's a harvest host guest RV parking.
Arrive at your destination. Arrived.
I think we can back up right into that little thing.
I do.
So remember this clip from earlier in the video? Clearly campers are not airtight. There was dust everywhere. It was on the counters. It was on our clothes. It was on the air conditioning vent. It even got inside the truck bed. Never ever go down a pure gravel road. So after cleaning the truck out, after cleaning the inside of the camper, I washed off the solar panels because sturdy solar panels don't give you the maximum amount of wattage. Well, now that the work's done, why don't we look around? Unfortunately, since we got here late, the place is closed, so we can't get into the museum, but we can walk around and take a look at what Fort Benton has to offer. This is a replica of a civilian fort, not a military fort, so it was really designed and built by local townspeople as a way to protect themselves against marauding gangs of bandits and the occasional Native Americans who didn't appreciate the intrusion onto their land. The stockade is pretty darn small, but I guess that's because there wasn't a lot of wood around to build on the plains. That's why they created these sod houses, which look pretty cool, and in fact were cool in summer and could be warm in winter, but you often had to share your bed with bugs and critters. There's also a blacksmith shop on site and a church. Unfortunately, again, because it was after hours, both of those buildings were locked to us. The church could use a little bit of a paint job, I think. They moved a real drugstore here, drugs and all, and they had to get permission from the state in order to leave the drugs in there because some of them are considered dangerous by today's standards. We were getting a tad bit hungry, so Pam rang the dinner bell and we ordered pizza.
Let's eat.
And then we got lucky because Ken, the caretaker, happened to drop by to check on us.
Free pizza?
Yeah, well, that's good. Yeah, welcome to Fort Belmont.
Yeah, very cool place, thank you.
Yeah, you bet. I'm Ken.
I'm Jim.
Yeah, Jim.
Nice to meet you.
Hey.
I'm Pam.
So for the next 20 minutes or so, Ken told us the entire history of the place, how it started, where the buildings were originally, the trials and tribulations they went through to get some of these buildings moved here. He was really engaging, really proud of his site, as he should be, and then we lucked out. He actually let us into the museum. They had a lot of old music players. Pam really enjoyed that because she has an old music player at home. There were displays of teepees and wagons from the Plains days. You can see some old cars in the background as well, one of which in particular is quite rare, and a display of old typewriters. And after 454 miles, we were ready for bed. So day 2 dawned pretty bright and sunny. We are on our way to Sioux Falls and then ultimately to the Badlands, about 400 and some odd miles, I guess. Hey, if you're a Harvest Host member, this is a really nice place to stay. Even if you're not, come and visit. The educational opportunities, particularly for kids, are exciting. Anyway, we really enjoyed our stay here. All right, here we are in South Dakota, just across the state line. At a rest stop. There's a sign over there, but you can't see it from here. So anyway, on to Sioux Falls. All right, we just passed our first wall drug sign. Only 355 miles to go to Wall Drug. I just can't wait. So about an hour and a half, about 95 miles later, we are in Sioux Falls. And we're following the GPS to get off the freeway and take us to Falls Park. The big Sioux Falls River flows right through the middle of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, and is, and always has been, the center of life in Sioux Falls. Wow. Falls Park is recognized as one of the top 25 city parks in the nation. The pinkish rock is known as Sioux Quartzite, and it sculpts a beautiful waterway with tumbling waterfalls right through the middle of the city. And on top of that, the city created this beautiful Falls Park with its many sculptures and pieces of art. Enjoy the walk through it, just like we did. Sioux Falls and Falls Park with the big Sioux Falls rivers and the artwork was certainly worth stopping for. This video doesn't even show half of the artwork that was available to see. All right, we just got done touring Sioux Falls, or at least the falls and Phillip Street with the sculptures, had a little breakfast, and now we're on to the Corn Palace. Can you believe that? Another hour down the flat plains of South Dakota is Mitchell and home of the infamous Corn Palace. To be honest with you, I'm not sure I'm so interested in this, but Pam says, hey, if you're here, you have to see it. So that's what we're going to do. We elected not to stop at Porter's giant sculptures. That might have actually been interesting. Here we are, Mitchell, South Dakota, home of the infamous Corn Palace. There she is, the Corn Palace. There's an RV parking spot about a block away, and that's where I'm going. All right, we said we weren't going to do it, but we're doing it. We're stopping and going into the infamous Corn Palace. So that was the Corn Palace. That took us 10 minutes. I guess we could have stayed longer to learn the corn story, but yeah, it was worth 10-15 minutes for free, but I have nothing more to say. So here we are on the road again, another 3.5 hours to go from Mitchell to Wall, South Dakota, and our dispersed camping site along the rim of the Badlands. I'm really looking forward to that, have never done that before. But in the meantime, I've got hours and hours to go of the flat and beautiful, but maybe a little bit tedious South Dakota plains. Settle in for the night, here's the view from our campsite. Simply amazing. Please come back for our next episode on this journey to Glacier National Park. Until then, everyone, carry on. Cheers.